Man, I'm glad I didn't drop that plant.
Live! What up, ladies and gents? Happy Friday. It actually would have been funny if that plant fell, but hey,
that would have been like perfect, comedic timing, I guess. But
exactly. Let's get the show started. Hit
let's
the intro.
Shut up and sit down.
The Business Bros Podcast was created for you. Learn from the business professionals who come to share their stories. Find out what's working in business and social media, what's hot and what's not, straight from the mouths of successful entrepreneurs out there doing the real work. And now, welcome to another episode of
Business Bros. What up, ladies and gents? Dude, I am super pumped. We get to have some fun today on the program. Just you and I. It's been quite some time since we had a you and me sesh.
It has been a while, but I want to start off really quickly by saying Happy Juneteenth.
Happy Juneteenth.
Happy Juneteenth. I am among the many that has not given this holiday the significance that it deserves, but I'm happy to see that this country is moving in a positive direction. I think it's for the betterment of all, personally.
Dude, the first time I got introduced to Juneteenth was when we were doing work on the house. So I had a couple guys that were doing all the like landscape stuff, and he came up to me. He's like, "Look," he's like, "We've been doing all this stuff. We got a lot done, but tomorrow's Juneteenth, and we don't work on Juneteenth, and so I'll see you again on Monday or whatever it was." I was like, "Juneteenth? What the hell are you talking about?" He's like, "You never heard of Juneteenth?" I was like, "No," and so he like educated me that time, and ever since then, it's been almost 3 years now. Like I'm aware of what Juneteenth is. So I'm surprised.
Isn't it crazy,
dude? It's crazy. So, I mean, you want to share with everybody? I mean, it was like, I think 1865.
1865, I believe that is correct. I mean, and it was years after the Emancipation Proclamation, but this was in Texas where slaves were still being held.
Well,
and
here's
freed
the thing.
themselves. I mean, you help me out. I could Google it, but
so yeah. I mean, you Google it to fact check me here in a second, while I'm talking. But basically, what happens is Lincoln passes the Emancipation Proclamation, which says basically, it's not property; these are people, right? You can't have slaves, and then what happens is it doesn't get around very far. What's up, Alberto? It doesn't get around very far because, first of all, it's not a super popular law that gets put into place, right? It's not a super popular thing at that time. People who have slaves are using them as property, and they don't want to give up your property. That's like, imagine if our cell phones became, I don't know, self-aware or whatever, and we determined that everybody can no longer hold a cell phone as property. These are people or whatever. Like giving up whatever it is that you consider property and giving it an identity is hard to let go of. Right. Even though these people are not cell phones, obviously these are people we're talking about.
Right.
But the mentality was the same way. So knowing that it's not popular, messaging and like getting word out to people is not an easy thing in 1865. Right. There is no internet. There is no cell phone. I don't even remember if there's Telegram at this point. There might have been like Telegram at that point, but I'm thinking almost everything was by courier, and and nobody wants to spread that word. So finally, it takes a number of years, but it gets into Texas, and then basically a revolt happens, and they realize that they've been freed essentially, and so it becomes a day. June 19th is the day that the slaves in Texas finally got word of what was going on, and it opened up. So I'm just gonna read it directly from the website real quick. Juneteenth is the oldest nationally celebrated commemoration of ending slavery in the United States, dating back to 1865. It was on June 19th that Union soldiers led by Major General Gordon Granger landed at Galveston, Texas, with news that the war had ended and the enslaved were now free. This was 2.5 years after the Emancipation Proclamation, like I said, but basically up until that point, they didn't have the strength. But with the arrival of General Granger's regiment, the forces were finally strong enough to influence and overcome the resistance. So there you go. Happy Juneteenth. It's about time we celebrated it across the nation. Boom. All right, cool.
Boom.
All right, let's get into today's program. So today I wanted to talk a little bit about, I'm going to be putting on a free StreamYard session. I've talked to a lot of people. So check this out, Ham. June, I had this goal of doing 50 podcast shows, not Business Bros shows, me being a guest on 50 shows.
Yeah.
I have completed or booked 23 shows so far, right? And that is super awesome. But it's cool because I get to talk to other podcasters. I get to see how they operate. I get to see how their show flows. I get to understand. And it's funny because if I get a Zoom link, I'm having a conversation with them, and I can literally tell them and their audience already the issues that are that they're going to have with Zoom, right? Like I'll tell the broadcaster, I'm like, look, this is why I think you should go to StreamYard. We get to do this and this and this, right? So we get to do movie clips. We get to do video intros, video outros, just like you saw at the beginning of our show. And then I tell that podcast host, I'm like, look, I know, for example, you're on Zoom. Right? We're on a Zoom call right now. So I know when this is over, you're going to have to download that video. You're going to have to download that audio. That audio is not even in MP3 format. So you have to convert it to an MP3 format. Then once it's in MP3 format, you have to add in the intro, add in the outro, add in any mid segments. It's time consuming.
You can't handle the truth.
Right. And sometimes I feel like an a-hole when I'm on somebody else's show. But the truth is that's a lot of time that it takes to be on a show, right? That to put on a podcast. The fun part is this part where we get to talk to people and interview people and meet people, right? All that stuff is cool. The post edit, that's not the fun part. That's the work part of this show, right? And so
it is,
using StreamYard,
but we take care of all that during the show.
Right. We do it all during the show. It's already built into the program. And not just that, our show looks fully branded, 100% produced. We've had a number of people on the program.
I was about to say, yep.
And what do they say at the end of the show? When we stop the cameras from recording, right? When we hit the end broadcast and we're saying, hey, thanks again for coming on the show. What have we heard like 3 or 4 times this week from our guests?
What ain't no country I ever heard of? They speak English and what?
Exactly.
No, they always say that this is the best produced show that they've ever been on. They're always remarking on how professional it is. They love the segments that we do. They love the movie clips that we throw in. They recognize the branding. They see all these different things. And this is all stuff that you've learned over the past 490 some odd episodes. Man, where are we now?
495, dude.
495.
Exactly. I had to drop it. I had to use it. I was going to be the first one to drop that clip.
Well done, sir. Well done.
No, dude, but 495, right? We went from audio only, right? To using Sling Studio to add in video so we can stream our video live to Facebook.
Yep.
Right? And then COVID hit and we switched over to Zoom, right? And then we went from Zoom to StreamYard, and we took StreamYard to a whole new level.
Hell yeah.
That's the whole point. Is I know there's a lot of podcasters out there. Some of you who are in business who are thinking about starting a podcast and you've never thought about doing anything. You're worried about editing. You don't know how to do that. You're worried about what are you going to say, how to cut up things in segments, all kinds of different stuff. All that stuff. Thanks, Jeff. Exactly. And hopefully we're ready to level you up to the next level. Start branding your stuff. Start adding your intro, your video intro, video outros, Zinger logos, all kinds of cool stuff. But the point is, if you have it segmented, if we show you how we do our show, how we can help you, like literally, let's say you're horrible at interviewing, you don't have the confidence yet, you don't know what questions to ask, but if I can design a show where all you do is push a button.
Why do we fall, Bruce? So we can learn to pick ourselves up.
And then you pick yourself up because the content is just built in for you. You do a segment, you walk through that piece of content, whatever it is, you talk about it with your guest. And then when you get stuck, you hit the next segment, you'll be ready to rock and roll. That's what we want to do for you. We want to make podcasting as simple as possible. Why? Because if you're in business, if you are trying to build a brand, maybe you're trying to build yourself up as a brand, then you need to put out content. First and foremost, you talk to people like Gary Vee. Gary Vee says you need to put out like 60 pieces of content. Well, how are you going to do that? Are you going to walk around with a GoPro and then come back and edit your stuff? And you're going to
60% of the time, it works every time.
Right? And that's the whole point. Put out content. So our theory is pretty simple. you get to use podcasting as your main source of content creation. This is where we take a long form piece of content, right? Whether it's a 30-minute conversation, a 20-minute conversation, a 2-hour conversation like the Joe Rogan show. And once we have all those content pieces, we can break them up into smaller little chunks. And then we throw those on Instagram, and we throw those on Twitter, on Facebook, on TikTok, wherever it is you want to go. And
Are you not entertained? Is this not why you are here?
And the consistency of that, right? Well, your show could be entertaining, it could be awesome, it could be fun, and people are going to watch the whole thing, or they're going to like little segments of your show, little clips of it, and it doesn't matter. The point is you're getting in front of more people, telling them what it is you do, and you're putting out content on a regular basis. That's what it's all about, dude.
That is what it's all about. You're killing it too. And we were even talking about starting another one.
Oh,
Cool.
yeah. So I'm going to ask, and we should just ask the audience. So we're thinking, when we started Business Bros, we really didn't have a specific plan in place, right? And it's become more of how many people can we meet and how many people can we network with, and let's expand and put out as much content as possible. Well, we've achieved that at almost 500 episodes. People are starting to recognize our brand. They know who we are. They connect with us. We'll see them in public and they're like, Business Bros. They have a little bit of fun with us, right?
It's always fun.
So, all those things are happening for us. We then created individual brands for ourselves. So I have my Business Bro logo, which is what you'll see on my Facebook page, my first personal Facebook page. You see the Insurance Bro logo, which is what James uses on his Facebook page. And so what we're going to do is we're going to create a spin-off from our Business Bro show, and we're going to create an Insurance Bro show. And we're gonna really fine tune and target this. So let me help you guys out, and hopefully you can kind of parallel with whatever you're thinking of doing for a podcast, and see where we go from here. So we've spoken about monetizing the podcast in the past. I'm sure if you listen to us, we talk about that quite a bit. And the main monetization strategy that almost every podcaster wants to go for, but it's not as easy to get to, is sponsorships, right? We want to have sponsors on our show. We've had some sponsors on the Business Bros show, which is super awesome. But because our focus isn't specifically narrow, business is a wide, it's huge, right? It can be almost anybody in business, from you working on cars to you're baking to you're in personal finance,
Fitness.
all kinds of different things, right? So it's very wide. But what we're going to do with this new one with Insurance Bro, finance, fitness, all kinds of different stuff. What we're going to do with this new show is we're going to focus directly into the insurance agency, right? We're going to be doing a show targeted to insurance agents with one specific thing in mind. We're going to be talking about pipeline insurance, but we're going to be talking with other agents about their own processes and what they're going. The objective is very simple. We want to show off what our process is in our company. We want to recruit as many agents as possible, agents who are currently working with like a State Farm or an Allstate or any of those exclusive companies. So if you guys don't know, when you sign up with one of those companies, when you buy one of those franchise, you can't sell any other products. So if you're a State Farm agent, you can only sell State Farm insurance. You cannot sell Progressive. You cannot sell Geico. You can't sell any of these other things. You're that particular agent, and that's it. Right. So sometimes there are risks that those agents cannot write, that State Farm just won't write. So what do they do with that business? They can refer out to someone else. So we want to either recruit an agent from an existing agency to come to our agency, or if they have the risk that they can't write, we want them to come and send that referral business to us. That's our main focus with this new show that we're going to do. But we're so fine-tuned in targeting insurance agents and speaking about insurance and insurance products to help insurance agents become better agents, right? That we can now tell our specific sponsors, we can go out to the Hartford, we can go out to Safeco, we can go out to Nationwide and say, look, we have an audience of nothing but insurance agents, the people that you want to go after. This is who we're coming after. This is our number of downloads. This is the people that we're talking to. So would you like to be a sponsor on our program? Now, with sponsors, that means there's revenue coming in. That is a plus, right? But this is, again, a concept that we learned from the Business Bros, speaking to other people, being in the industry of podcasting, that when we turn around and start a new show, when we do coaching with you guys to help develop your program, to where we're going to set you guys up so that you are really focused in on what you want to be, so that if you do want to go after things like sponsorships, you can with a detailed plan. You know exactly what you're going after, and it helps with your show, right? And once we have the show content,
speaking of helping with your show, somebody has a question from the audience.
How do you overcome speaking to yourself syndrome? Man, I speak to myself all the time. The question is, do you answer yourself?
Does it mean I'm crazy if I do?
Yeah, it does. No, I don't know.
Damn.
So, Jeff, how do you overcome speaking to yourself syndrome? I wonder what he means by that. What do you think? Is it like speaking?
I'm thinking it's like where you're not necessarily speaking to an audience. You're just kind of speaking to yourself, like
On the podcast?
I don't know, hyping yourself up, and maybe you're not just reaching the audience. You're just like coaching yourself throughout this whole thing.
So if you're talking about, being worried about doing a show by yourself, maybe it's that kind of doing by yourself. Jeff, if you're still on, help me with some clarification, but I'm going to go with the assumption that you're going to be speaking on a show by yourself without anybody else on the show. So if I was to do a show like that, if I'm going to be the only one speaking on a particular segment, I would outline my shows so I have specific topics that I want to cover, so that I can hit those content pieces. And if I was doing it today, if I was going to start a show all by myself, I would create individual clips to segment into these types of content, to these types of questions. So just like when we do our show and we drop in the movie clip, we would drop in something like when we do Ham's insurance tips, and just have the question pop up that we're going to be talking about. And there's two reasons why I would do it that way. One, it helps break up the monotony of just me talking, right? That can get really boring really fast if there's one person speaking the whole time. Maybe if it's for a quick, 1 or 2 minute pieces of information, maybe that's cool. But if you're going to be talking for a couple, maybe 10 minutes, 20 minutes, our attention span isn't that great. So if we use a clip to break in to the next question, for example, that allows the viewer to see something a little bit different. That allows the listener to know that we're having a transition. And so it'll break it up that way. Second reason why is for post edit. So when I believe that every time you have a long form piece of content, you should be chopping it up and repurposing it for your social media pages. Well, if you ever have to edit video, what you're going to see is if it's just you talking, it's hard to really scan through the video and see where you go from question to question, from section to section, from, subject to subject. But if you have these video clips in there to break it up, it's really easy to visually see when you're editing when is going to be the next switch. And so you can cut pieces up really quickly and then put them on your social media pages. So that way you're getting just small sections, 60-second sections or 3-minute sections or whatever it is. So you can post it on your IG, your story, or you want to go to IGTV or something like that. So that's how I would personally do the speak to yourself type thing. And that way it gives you a little bit. The other thing is like breathe. Right? You're talking when you hit that clip, it's, a little, 5 second, 10 second, but it allows you to, grab a drink of water real quick or, take a deep breath. And if you're doing these things live, then you're going to want a little bit of a segment that way. Well done. Thank you.
Good answer. That's another clip.
That's another one we got to do, dude. That's another clip we got to do. That's a good one.
Another clip. All right. Speaking of clips,
write that one down.
damn, I'm a fool.
Why? You didn't have it up? Ooh,
I didn't have my banner ready. Is what I didn't have.
Oh.
But,
all right. Well, you can start talking. I'll edit your banner while you talk. What's your stuff?
All right. Today? It is homeowners versus a dwelling policy.
Okay.
On the surface, these two policies are very much alike. They cover the same types of property. Those are your single family homes or your multifamily properties up to 4 units. So single family, duplex, triplex, fourplex, any one of those. Homeowners policy, dwelling policy cover the same thing. But there's one key difference that you're going to want to be aware of, and that is the liability part. A homeowner's policy is intended for a property that's going to be owner occupied, not one that would be rented out to a tenant. the liability portion of a homeowner's policy might exclude those properties leased to a renter. So if you bought a house and you lived in it for a while, and then you kept the home but decided to rent it out to somebody else, you're going to want to make sure that you have a dwelling policy, sometimes referred to as a landlord protection policy, in place. If not, someone could get injured on your property and you could be up the creek. So talk to your insurance expert today. Make sure you have the right type of policy, whether you're living in your home or renting it out. That is Ham's Insurance Tip of the Day. Follow me on Twitter at InsuranceBroHam.
And boom, shakalaka, just like that.
The man.
That is a classic example of a segment, right? That's what think of it like radio shows that you would listen to on your way to work, drive time radio, or think of it like late night TV shows like Jimmy Fallon, or for those of you who are a little bit later, you have who was the skunk head? What was his name? Jay Leno, and then before that was
Rufio.
Rufio. Oh.
And you know what? Speaking of these segments too, and preparing for your podcast. So when we first started doing these Ham's Insurance Tip of the Day, like 2 weeks ago, I think it was like 2 weeks ago. This is pretty new. So when we first were doing them, I was just off the cuff, like, okay, this is what I'm going to talk about, and I would just roll with it. I would just wing it. And I noticed with the clips that you sent me that, man, I would drone on for like 2 minutes and it would take me forever to get the freaking point across. So if you're out there preparing segments like this, it's definitely a good idea to just prepare, right? Instead of trying to wing it, actually have something that you're going to talk about, have an outline. I personally like a script, so I will write myself out a full script, and I might deviate a little bit from it here and there, but the script is there for me to read from, for me to know exactly what I'm trying to say, when I'm trying to say it, how I'm trying to say it, because I prepared it ahead of time instead of trying to wing it.
So, and so here's the other thing. We're talking about segments, right? And preparing for those segments. If you're creating small segments for your show, again, I wanted you to think of it like late night TV shows. When you see a late night TV show, when you have an interview, right? Usually it's, it could be some actor, for example, that is about to have a movie that's going to premiere, right? So Joaquin Phoenix is going on tour and he's going to all these late night TV shows and he's going to all these sitcoms. Why? Because Joker was coming out, right? And so he's showing up to talk about his particular movie. And in some shows, it's very much we both sit on the couch and we talk. But then there's the fun shows, the ones that really get remembered. Those are like the Jimmy Fallon shows where, he sits on the couch and talks to him. But then there's another little segment where they're like beating each other up and asking questions. And, there's another segment over here where he does like a little bit of music stuff, right? There's different things that keep it entertaining. And you'll see that, why reinvent the wheel? Why come up with something completely new? Just do what is already successful. Why is Jimmy Fallon so popular? Because most people don't watch the Jimmy Fallon show live. They come back and watch all the little segments. They like the segment where they're slapping each other on the table, like they say something or a truth or a lie, and then they grab this big foam hand and they like slap each other in the face, right? Like different fun, goofy stuff. But when you're scrolling through your Facebook or you're scrolling through YouTube or whatever it is, those are the things that you find funny, and they're just a couple minutes of that segment, and he's having fun with the guest, whoever he's interviewing, in a different way, so that it brings out a little bit of a funnier side of that particular person. So your segments don't have to necessarily be 100% scripted the way you want it to, but an outline. So in our show, we started implementing 2 truths and a lie. And it's just a different way of getting information from the interviewee that I might not get in a normal Q&A. They're going to share with me, with James and I, they're going to share things with us that we may never have even thought to talk about. And so we get, 2 truths and a lie, and it's kind of fun. We get to choose which one's a lie, and sometimes we get it right, sometimes we get it wrong. But it opens up dialogue in other areas that bring a different dynamic and a different life to the show. So having
I can't wait to see what other segments you come up with too.
I'm going to be coming up, and kudos to the wife, right? Because she teaches drama. She's helping me come up with a lot of these different segments. And we're going to come up with a bunch of them. Yep. And we're going to come up with a bunch of them, and we're going to be sharing them with you guys. It's going to be part of our coaching program to help sit down with you and map out a show that's fun, entertaining, and has a high production value, so that your show is, higher up in quality than everybody else's show when they get started. You're just going to want to do it the way the business bros do it, hands down.
I like that.
So how was your week this week, Cam? It's Friday, Reflection Friday. Or
all
like we say it in the Justice League, fuck yeah Friday.
Reflection Friday, fuck yeah Friday. Either way. I did not do as well this week. 3 out of my 5 days, my one thing did not get done. So not a great week. What I did do was record the orientation stuff that I wanted to. That I already scripted it. I felt like that was the easy part. The things that did not get done had to do with the course that I'm trying to create on the new website. So,
yeah. Well, I feel you. I'm about the same way. I'm about a 60%er on my week this week. I took a hard left, I guess, during the week. Mainly because I went to set up some people's StreamYards, right? I went to set up Keller Williams StreamYard. I went to set up IQ Podcast. I helped them out with set up their StreamYard. And as I was talking to other people on their podcast about StreamYard, it shifted my whole coursework on helping people start their podcast. So in the middle of the week, I was like, okay, everything I'm doing isn't going to be as easy or as beneficial to our coaching clients. I'm going to change it around because I need to structure something that is very, very much user friendly and very easy to do. So my week, funny. I guess, ended somewhere around Wednesday, and I took a hard left and revamped everything from, what my sales cycle is going to look like, and what my what my landing pages are going to look like, and how I'm going to restructure, and what the team is that I'm putting together to help implement a lot of these strategies. And so, you're right. I had a plan this week, and it didn't pan out. But it's not a bad thing because it's just a different direction.
Here's a question for you. Are you using any kind of a annual, quarterly, or monthly planner?
No. So I saw your one of the emails that you sent out to the team, and it had the Vivid Vision, and I haven't still done that, and that's one of the things that I think is holding me back, and it's funny because I keep telling myself the thing that's stopping me is I don't have time, and yet that's the reason why I don't, is because I'm not as focused as I should be. Right? It's like a catch-22. I don't have time to set up my goals. Well, that's why you don't have time, because you're all over the freaking place because you haven't set up those goals. Right? It's like a catch-22. And
so the great thing about setting up those types of goals is when you know what your annual goal is, it's okay if your weekly goals change, as long as you're still going on after the monthly goals and the quarterly goals that are all trying to get you to your annual goals. Right. So
I guess in that case, I do have annual. I just don't have quarterly and monthly. So because it's
just a matter of breaking them down.
Sheet on my board. I know it's part of my week sheet on my board. And for me, I have my 3 2020 goals up there. And I do work towards them. 10K per month from PTSD to SEI, complete the backyard remodel, and 10 funnels, each earning 1K per month.
So how could you break those down? Podcasting. How could you break those down quarterly? Like, what things would you need to get done? Because we're coming up here. July 1st is
half the year's over.
Half the year's over. That's beginning of Q3, right? So in Q3 and Q4, what do you need to get done in order to get you closer to those annual goals?
Yes, that's where I got to sit down. Right.
You got to sit down.
I have to do that because what I've been doing.
Let me tell you, what I've been doing is taking the first of the month off. I don't do any insurance work. I don't do anything else except plan my month. And this one is going to be planning my quarter. So that's my whole day is focused on what does the rest of my quarter look like? What does my month look like? And then of course, I'm hopefully already doing my weekly planner in that case. But it's also that I know, okay, these are the things that I need to get done in the next 3 months. These are the things that I want to get done the next 3 months. All right. So in order to get to that 3-month goal in July, what do I want to get done? And then week by week, okay, so in order to get these things done in July, the first week of July, I need to get this done.
So in July, it's funny. The only thing I'm thinking about in July is the chronological order of the Marvel
movie
universe.
marathon. Yes.
By the way, for those of you out there, so
we
July
will
3rd,
be
July
streaming
4th,
that somehow.
Yeah, we'll do something like that. We'll check out our story. We're gonna be streaming. We're gonna be watching all the movies over a 3-day period. James has a schedule already set up. It's coming right around the corner, dude. We're almost at the end of June here.
8 a.m. Friday and ending at 11:30 Sunday.
It's gonna be one
PM.
hell of a ride for the MCU, dude.
Looking forward to it.
It's gonna be a fun one. So right now, that's what I got on my July calendar. But no, you're absolutely right. And I haven't planned quarterly like I should, monthly like I should. I take my annuals, the 3 annual goals, and then when I look at my week plan, I have the 3 things that I need to break down for the week, and I make one of them for each. And that's hasn't been as effective as I could have been. And I think if I break it down that way to the quarterly and the monthly, I will be more efficient in my weekly 3 goals, and then even more efficient in completing them with a purpose, right? Because I mean, at the very least, I'm doing my one thing, right? I have my one thing to complete every day, and it's been beneficial. It's pushing me in a forward direction, but I can fine tune that and really narrow in on those coordinates in that direction that I want to go in if I do that for the month and the quarter.
It's the blueprint, man. It's the blueprint. It's the navigation. It's like you take a turn, right at that buoy, and that's going to get you, Okay, so one thing that I learned in the Navy is when we're coming into the harbor, we get a special pilot to take the ship through the harbor, because if they deviate from the course just a little bit, they'll run into the sand.
Yeah, right? That would suck.
That would suck on a freaking carrier. So that's what you're doing, man. You're getting that special pilot in there to tell you, okay, when you get to this, turn right here. And then when you get to this marker, turn this way.
Dude, see, I've been doing it all wrong. I gotta do this one, right?
I don't think it means what you think it means.
I love it.
You love that clip, dude. You sent me that text. You're like, you gotta get that one.
You gotta get that one. You gotta get that one.
All right, man. Well, ladies and gents, it's the end of the week. Friday. Have a safe weekend. Get ready for Monday. Can't wait to see you guys on Monday. And that's all we got for you guys today. Peace.
Bye-bye.
And we're out.
Thank you for listening to the Business Bros Podcast. Are you looking to get more clients or to increase your income? Hernan, the Business Bro, can help you generate referrals through the power of podcasting. And James, the Insurance Bro with Pipeline Insurance, can help you effectively add insurance to your existing business. If you are ready to create wealth today and generational wealth for tomorrow, email businessbros@csfirst.com to schedule a free consultation, or join the Business Bros Network, www.businessbros.biz.